From our studios at Riley High School, it's time for Michiana's award-winning student talk show, Buzz in the Bend.
Hello and welcome to Buzz in the Bend, Michiana's award-winning student talk show. I'm Marisha Brown from Clay High School.
And I'm Cooper Van Driesch from Riley High School.
Our SBS-TV student media program has some exciting news. We are now a CNN resource in the classroom affiliate. This means we will have access to more professional resources, which will improve the quality of the news we bring to you.
This past weekend, the COVID-19 vaccine was approved for use in the U.S. The Pfizer Global Supply president is very confident the distribution process will go smoothly.
I couldn't be more confident in the distribution of the vaccine. We've worked incredibly hard over many months doing test shipments, improving our shippers, making sure that they can maintain temperature during the entire journey, and we're very happy with the solution.
The first shipments of the Pfizer vaccine have started to leave their facility in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and are heading to all 50 states. Health experts warn it's likely we won't see any real impacts from the vaccinations until well into 2021.
Our very own sports reporter and Riley High School basketball star Blake Wesley has signed a national letter of intent to join the Notre Dame's Fighting Irish men basketball team next season.
This past November, in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic that halted everything in its path, something special was happening at Riley High School that even a pandemic couldn't stop, as Riley's Blake Wesley made his official college commitment choice.
Academically, thank you. With that being said, I've decided to take my academic and athletic talent to University of Notre Dame. Thank you.
I got to speak with the principal of Riley High School and see what he was most proud of that day.
This is exciting. You know, I had the opportunity to sit with Demezi, and now to be able to do it again with Blake, this is so amazing. Like, it's just for him to make that decision, that final decision to go to the University of Notre Dame, and not just University of Notre Dame, but also to have a slew of schools that he could have chosen from. Like, this is amazing. When you play in that, when you're involved in extracurricular, it teaches discipline. You got to be there on time. You got to be committed to a team. You got to go the extra mile. You have to sacrifice. And those are all the traits that we talk about within life. Getting up from work, doing the things that you need to do at work, in the classroom. So extracurricular completely molds someone to be what they're going to do later on in life. What I'm most proud of today is that Blake is able to just now be Blake. His decision is made. He's able to focus on high school basketball. He's able to focus on being a teenager. He's able to focus on his teammates and just continue to get better and meet his goals that he wants to reach here at Riley High School. That's what I'm most happy about.
The last time a South Bend native chose to go to Notre Dame for athletics was back in 2009 when Washington Scholar Diggins made her choice to attend the university.
Keeping up on my grades because this is a tough school, academic school, athletically, taking my team to March Madness and ACC Freshman of the Year.
With Buzz in the Bend, I'm David Saleh.
Congratulations, Blake. We wish you all the best with your future endeavors.
The Washington High School Latino Student Union is taking donations all week. They're seeking warm clothing, non-perishable food items, plus games and toys for children. All donations will be given to the South Bend Police Department for their Santa Elfisters program, which benefits South Bend families in need. You can drop off donations anytime this week from 9 to 4 p.m. at Washington High School. A table is located at the front entrance.
As students of the public school system, we understand the importance of state-funded education and the services it provides to the community. The author of the new book, Schoolhouse Burning, spoke with us about why he supports public education.
Ultimately, public education is the foundation upon which this democracy was built. If you rewind the nation back to the late 1700s, this was a world ruled by kings and queens, and it was a radical idea to turn power over to regular people. Now, of course, Women and minorities were still excluded at that point, but even to turn it over to regular white men was a pretty audacious thing. And the Founding Fathers knew that if we were going to have a democracy that worked, we had to have a public education system. So first of all is to understand that this institution is something that goes back to our nation's founding. The other thing we have to understand is that a core mission of the public school system throughout this time, it's never been perfect, but a core mission has been to bring people of different races, of different religions, of different socioeconomic classes together to create a common space, a common ground upon which we could build a nation, to make one out of the many. And I think there's no parent that needs to go any further than the evening news or the internet or the newspaper and see that we are a divided nation. But if you look across history, it has been public education that, again, has not been perfect, but has been a key part of helping heal those wounds. And so if you're worried about the future of this democracy, if you're worried about the divisiveness of our democracy, public schools are our best and maybe our only shot at trying to cure some of those flaws. And if people give up on that, I don't see how we have a path forward. Standardized tests have been part of education for a long time. They didn't start with No Child Left Behind. What happened with No Child Left Behind, though, was attaching enormous consequences to the results of those tests. So that the idea being that the curriculum would shape itself around those tests, that teachers would teach to the test, and if they didn't do well on it, the school would suffer consequences. That's the fatal flaw of standardized tests. I mean, ultimately, it is helpful to get a snapshot of where students are. And the quickest, easiest, dirtiest way to do that is through a standardized test. But we have to be clear, that's just a snapshot, number one, right? And number two, we have to understand that that snapshot is necessarily going to look different in different schools. I mean, the biggest predictor of how a student performs on a standardized test is not actually how good their teacher is, right? Or even how well financed their school is all by itself. But no school should be penalized in its funding formula because its students aren't doing well on their test. I mean, that's just beating up on children who actually need help as opposed to providing help. And so I'm not for that type of consequence for standardized tests. But again, as a snapshot, if what you see is there's a consistent set of snapshots at a particular school that shows that they're struggling with something, that might actually be a basis to provide needed resources and assistance in that school, which is different than beating up on them. It is sort of coming to the aid if it's necessary.
South Bend is being recognized as December's Community Awards Spotlight by Project Lead the Way for the work being done to make Wi-Fi accessible to all students and families.
Project Lead the Way is a national curriculum where teachers are trained all over the country, and I think even now a couple countries outside of the United States. The curriculum that we use and teachers are trained in for engineering, computer science here at Riley High School, and then also in the medical magnet at Washington High School. Back in 2016, my students were designing a website where it would share different spots all over the city where students and adults could use free Wi-Fi. Students and adults could input the information on the website and then it would just drop a pin. Now we have Wi-Fi on buses. Pretty soon we'll have Wi-Fi on every single bus in 2021. Also, the city is working with a company here in town called Infocus and South Bend Schools, and is trying to get internet in more homes in addition to the Wi-Fi buses. The really nice thing about the Wi-Fi and the Chromebooks here at South Bend Schools and many schools all over the country is it's not just focused on the students and the students doing their homework and getting their homework on time. It's also just shared for families to do things like order food and schedule doctor's appointments. Internet has become a necessity for many of us, and it's more of a need than a want. And the fact that South Bend Schools and the city of South Bend have collaborated to provide us with that need has been a huge success for not only our students, but I think our families.
During the pandemic, many of the most vulnerable people have been hit hard by its effects. One of our Riley seniors was motivated to make a difference in the lives of our senior citizens.
Please start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do. All right, so last summer I went out during the pandemic and I got my certified nurse aide license, and that provided me to have a job at a assisted living facility, so a nursing home on the south side. So I basically help residents with their activities of daily living, and yeah.
So describe what your big idea was to highlight the elderly in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic.
So starting out, when I first started my job, it was in the middle of the pandemic, so I never really got to see what life was before. So I talked to some residents and they were able to leave their room, they had parties, they were able to play bingo, which was a really big thing there.
Mm-hmm.
But now they don't leave their room, they never open the window, they can't have visitors. So I was feeding a resident one day and she got a letter in the mail and she had me read the letter and it just made her day.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would be a good idea to have some of our students at Riley write letters to the residents.
So how important was it to you that many other high school students get involved in their community?
It's very important to have young people involved with the community. They definitely have a big voice and can make changes, and yeah.
The thing that saddened you the most was like the elderly not being able to see their family. Was that the only option? Were they absolutely not allowed to see them, or was?
They were allowed to see them through the windows in their room. They had to talk on the phone with them, so they couldn't even open the window,
Yeah.
which was kind of sad.
If you were to say something to people at home watching, what would you tell them to do if they wanted to write a letter?
If you wanted to write a letter, you can always just drop it off at the Riley High School office, and I will be able to hand them out to the residents at my facility, and it'll definitely make their day.
We conclude our show with some uplifting seasonal music from the music faculty at Riley High School.
Thank you for joining us for our final Buzz in the Bend of 2020. As always, be sure to click that subscribe button and tap the bell icon to get notified when we upload a new video.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And be sure to tune in to our 24/7 student radio, WETL 91.7 The Mix.
Happy holidays and have a wonderful new year.